get my hair cut, mine.
Hard to come in this station, so I can't take it anymore. And she just started watching this. Yeah. It's nice to hear that. I don't know.
Pretty long.
It's getting back like the 80s now.
Adam,
You ready?
we're ready. You tell me when you're going. All right, I want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. If you would, just join me in a word of prayer, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day that you've given us. And Lord, we just thank you for watching over us and taking care of us, even in the middle of bad times. God, we know that we can count on you because you love us and you care for us, and we thank you for that. Lord, we just ask you to lead us and guide us in this meeting today as we go about the business of the people, that we would make decisions that are would be pleasing in your sight. And Lord, we just thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, and we ask you all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, gentlemen, we have a couple of minutes to approve. We have, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the May 5th regular meeting, we just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved, Nate.
Second.
Got a motion by Myron, a second by Nate. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. And then we had minutes. If you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the May 12th special call fiscal court meeting, we just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
Motion made.
Motion by Nate.
Second.
Second by Myron. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, next is the inmate work crew contract, and I think if I remember correctly, this nets us about 26,000.
Yes.
I believe it was. But we have to authorize this contract, or adopt or accept this contract, and authorize the judge to sign it, to enter into this, to get this inmate roadside work crew money from the Kentucky Transportation Academy. So I'd need a motion and a second to approve this contract and authorize the judge to sign it. Got a motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Nate. Any questions or discussion?
What happens if we don't have the inmates?
I think we'll still have a few. I don't think they're completely going away.
Just won't be available for a while.
Yeah, it might be July or August before they're actually available again. But I don't think we're going to run out of them. All right. So all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next, gentlemen, is an IT contract for IT services. If you've had an opportunity to review that contract, the county attorney drafted this. I felt like it represented our discussion and what we were looking at. The gentleman who is involved in the contract has read it and is agreeable. So we would just need a motion and a second to approve the contract for IT services for Simpson County.
So moved.
Second.
There a motion by Myron and a second by Scott. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thurman and Poston. Yeah, we do need to. Is it okay if we all put in that motion, authorize the judge to sign, but we got to sign the contract?
Yep.
All right, moving along into financial business, a slew of year-end budget transfers. If you've had an opportunity to review it, we'd need a motion and a second, and then we would have any discussion that was necessary.
Motion moved.
Got a motion by Nate,
Second.
second by Myron. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Whipping right along this morning. Next is the bills and claims. You had an opportunity, gentlemen, to review those. We just need a motion and a second to approve those, and we would open the floor for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Myron. Second by Scott. Any questions or discussion?
I got one.
Okay.
We've been talking for a while now about how the inmates, or the numbers at the jail are real low.
Mm-hmm.
But we have population increase surcharge and the cost pool limitation. That's, I guess, is it because we averaged on the jail?
On the Southern Health Partners claim? Yeah, they've been contacted about that.
So is it not, they weren't supposed to charge?
Yeah, so they were contacted and they credited us back.
Okay, all right. But it just, that caught my eye when I seen that. I was like,
as soon as it come through, these ladies are on top of it. They're like, whoa, wait a minute.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. So, getting into reports, I have several things here. I'll try not to take any more time than we whip through the agenda. I just want to share a few numbers here that, we have stores, according to the governor's orders, we have retail stores that'll be opening back up tomorrow, thankfully. We'll see the businesses downtown have their doors open to the public. The thing I've asked several times in Facebook updates and posts, just that, the community be respectful of the store owner's wishes. If you walk into a store and the store owner wants you to wear a mask, then respect that store owner's request. If they don't care if you're wearing a mask and you go in, that's the store owner's business. So, but I do want to encourage our people to support these local retailers, our small business owners. They've been down a little while here, and we need them in our community, and they need our support right now. So I encourage you to support those folks. Real quick, I don't know that I've done this update here, but as of yesterday afternoon, the confirmed case count for Simpson County of COVID-19 is 36. That's total from the time we started getting a report, which was March the 22nd. And so 15 of the cases that we have were all attributed to the month of March. Now, some of those numbers we didn't get until the 1st of April, but according to the health department, that the first 15 cases all were occurrences from the time they got their first report till March the 31st. So really, we've only, 21, we've had 21 other cases since March the 31st, and we didn't get our first report till March the 22nd. So we've gone, 7 weeks now, beyond that. So I think we've done pretty good. But so it's the 36 confirmed. Obviously and unfortunately 2 have passed away, but 25 of these 36 have recovered. So there's only 9 active cases in Simpson County at this moment. Now that number could change when we get the report this afternoon. Typically I don't get the report from the district till 4:30, 4:45. Sometimes it's right at 5 o'clock. But district-wide, the numbers of confirmed cases have been 1,219 as of yesterday. 437 of those have recovered, and then 23 have passed away.
Those 9, are they hospitalized?
I don't know, Scott. They don't, when I get the report, it doesn't say, it doesn't give age or name or the medical condition, like if they're in the hospital or if they're at home. So, I don't know. I just know that, so the 9 active cases, the way they would work that, those 9 cases are either in the hospital or in home quarantine, but after they make it through that quarantine period, I think they're retested twice. And if they get 2 negative tests, then the health department says you're good to go back out into the public. So I don't know whether those 9, I couldn't tell you how many of those 9 are either in the hospital or just home quarantined. I really don't know. And I've tried to get the number on how many actual Simpson County residents have been tested, but that number doesn't seem to exist anywhere. So I don't know how we get that. I mean, I've asked several times and we don't know.
Well, some Simpson County could have went up to South Warren too, so it'd probably be hard to.
Yeah, but all of the reporting according to testing and confirmed cases is all supposedly done by county. So even if you went to, because here's the thing, even the Simpson County residents that are in this 36 number, there's a big percentage of this 36 that was actually tested at the medical center facility in Warren County. So all of the numbers are supposed to be county, county by county, but I don't know, evidently we don't have a tracking on how many Simpson County residents have been tested.
Is there I've heard, I don't know this, is there a testing station up at the medical center here in Franklin?
I'm not aware of that. I know the medical center does testing, but I think typically they've done it through their facility out on Lover's Lane.
Okay.
In Boulder.
Okay.
Now the Fast Pace out here will do testing. But both of those, medical center and Fast Pace, both have to be symptomatic. They're not, if you just walk in and say, hey, I want a COVID-19 test, if you're not symptomatic, you're not going to get it. Now the South Warren deal where they tested probably 3,000 or 4,000 people during those 2 weeks, you just got on the list and drove through and was tested, whether you had symptoms or not. All right, so some other information, and this is maybe a little early for this, but I think it's better to start getting this information out early, is voting obviously has been changed, and the voting time is a little different. The state has moved that for the what would typically be our May primary is now June the 23rd, and the State Board of Elections has said that there would only be 1 polling place. So here's the way you can vote. You could call the clerk's office at 270-586-8161 and get a ballot mailed to you with a return envelope in it. You could do your ballot, mail it right in. The clerk will keep those ballots under lock and key until the day they count, or you could actually get your mail-in ballot, I think if I understand, and go by and drop it into a drop box that they have there that will be kept secure. You can also do early voting from June the 8th to June the 22nd during normal business hours, which is from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, during that time frame. That will happen in the little conference room right here in the courthouse, but they're asking you to make appointments to do it so that they have time to sanitize between people coming in, because they don't want somebody just walking in and then 30 seconds later someone else just walking in. But then on election day, the 23rd, the courthouse corridor will be where all live voting will happen on June 23rd. There'll be, I don't know which end they'll come in and go out, but one end will be an entrance, the other end will be an exit. And I think, of course, the sheriff's been on those, in those committee meetings. Is there anything that I'm leaving out or that we need to add to that, Sheriff?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think the Friday's when they start, where you can, the mail-in, is that right? Or the early I believe that's what I heard, that you could contact.
Yeah, you can call the clerk's office now and tell them you want to mail in the ballot, and they will send the ballot to you right now. I mean, I don't know when they start, because I got one last week. So I don't know when that started, but you can do that right now. But if you want to make an appointment to do early voting, you need to call the clerk's office at 8161, 586-8161, and set up your appointment, like which day and time you want to try to be here.
This should cut the expense of the election down, but it's gonna make it a mess.
Yeah. I'm sure, Sheriff, as we get closer to the 6 p.m. hour, there'll probably need to be a little bit of presence here so we can, if there's a line that, because the way this works, if I understand correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, at 6 p.m., if you're in line to vote, you get to vote.
Correct.
If you woke up at 6 p.m. in 1 second, you might not be, you probably be precluded from being in line to vote, correct?
Yes, that would be all.
Yeah.
The way it works is customarily, once 6 o'clock tolls, then a worker or someone gets in the back of the line, and so everybody in front of the worker votes, and anyone coming later does not.
Yeah. So, and I think maybe that person that's going to get in that line to separate the cans and the cannots will be possibly law enforcement. Here comes the sheriff. I knew I could get him up.
The easiest way to vote. Now, everybody's got what they want to do, and that's okay. This is still America. You can do it the way you want to. The easiest way to vote is going to be by mail. And something will be mailed to everyone with the address that you have when you signed up. So if you need to change your address, you got to let them know. Whatever address is on file is where that will be sent. You can call and specifically say, I want one, but if you're registered to vote, something will be sent out. That is the easiest way, and it will keep the less exposure out. You can mail it in. You can drop it off. As the judge said, there is a box that will be at the clerk's office where you can just come and drop it in the box, so it's there. In the past, if you were going to be out of town, when they're saying there's that window where you can sign up to come in and vote, basically they have authorized that everybody has an exemption this time not to come to the polls. So you can get a date and time where you're going to come and pre-vote. So if you want to actually come in and do it, you can. That would be the second easiest way. And then election day, if you just are full of vinegar and say, I have to be at the poll. They picked the old courthouse because it's the most central location and it's the fairest way, since all the other precincts weren't going to be open. Part of the other precincts problems were honestly they had trouble finding people to be able to work the precincts. A lot of the people that have the time to dedicate to it are older people and they don't want, and that's okay. So one precinct is going to be here for all precincts to come to. So that, depending on how many people show up that day, you could be waiting a while.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to use the other methods, but if you want to come, you can come. I mean, but be patient when you come, because Jolene's office is going to try to do everything they can to keep everybody safe. That means you come in and vote, things are sanitized, and then they tell the next person to come in. So that may take a little bit. Won't take real long. It just only takes a few minutes to get somebody through. But be prepared for that. Be patient if you decide to vote in person. That's all a good thing.
Thanks, Sheriff. All right, so obviously, gentlemen, Friday at 8:30, we have a special called meeting for the purpose of the public hearing that we discussed at the last meeting, and then first reading of a budget ordinance, which will be budget ordinance number 220.214. Here's some information that was requested at the last meeting. I'll pass this down as far as some pay grades. The first sheet with the blue is something that you guys got back last October that just shows department by department what the average pay currently is. And so the sheriff, and the jailer, and the clerk are both working on some pay rate stuff for their departments. But I'll get that to you as soon as we get it. But that have been talked about at the last meeting and requested, so I thought I would try to get that to you guys. But again, the blue sheet is something that you guys seen back last October that just has the average hourly rates of, what's currently being paid. So with that, also, all of you on your portal and then in front of you this morning got a copy of the budget with the changes that have been requested at the last meeting. And so I just want to make sure this morning, and I'll start, I'm not picking on anyone or picking out anybody in particular, but I want to go to each one of you, and I'll start, Scott, with you. You're looking at, you got on the portal Friday and you have a paper copy in front of you. Is that budget what you've requested, or are you feeling good about what's in there right there?
From what I've seen, that's kind of what we requested, I believe.
Okay. Nate?
Yeah, you know, of course, I don't feel good about it, because it's a decision that you gotta make. But under the circumstances, the looks of it at this point, it looks good.
Marty?
I still think we need to cut that jail personnel and jail transfer in. We're not gonna have the numbers, the 260, I think is too high a number for one thing, but, there's 9 out at the jail, 9 employees out at the jail right now. And even if we brought 4 of them back in, we could still take 5 out, we could still cut 250 out there, because, an employee for the county, the time you figure insurance, retirement, taxes, you figure on average is $50,000. So you could take those 5 out, and still allow them to bring those 4 back in, and that would cut it down to right around that $700,000 number. That's what I would feel comfortable doing.
Mine?
Yeah, this is what we're requesting.
All right. Obviously, as I stated, I don't feel good about it either. Honestly, I sent you guys an email last week about the employee resolutions that we had, and I stand by that. But I think, if I'm hearing right, I think we have at least 3 people that's gonna vote in favor of this budget on Friday. Because here's the deal. Friday, the county treasurer has got to put this budget in ordinance format. And once that's done, we need to know that it's going to be a passed budget. Whether it's 4-1 or 3-2, but it's gotta be at least 3-2. We can't do it any other way. So I mean, the only way I know to say this is this, and we're in an open public meeting, so I guess we were allowed to do this. I just need to know that there's at least 3 of you here that's gonna vote in favor of this budget as it is sitting in front of you this moment. I mean, the changes that were requested last Tuesday are exactly what's plugged in there. Every line you see highlighted in yellow is what was changed and the dollar amount that it was changed.
It's not pleasant, but yes,
Okay.
if there's a change, I'll call you this morning. I realize time for this, if I understand.
Yeah. And that's why we wanted to go ahead and put it on the portal Friday, so y'all will have it all through the weekend to look at, not just this morning. All righty. Marty, you have any report?
I'd just like to compliment the road department. They got out and started mowing the roadways, and they are doing a good job with it. And they hadn't got them on my side of the county yet, in my district, but I've reported that a couple of the new tractors that were supposed to be in, they're in, and they're using that. So I just like to compliment them, and I'd like to encourage people to support our local businesses as much as possible when they do open up tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm gonna support our local barbers when they get opened up.
I got my razor out last month.
I'll back up real quick. Gentlemen, on my reporting, and I don't really have much to say about it other than just make sure that y'all are aware of this paper that I laid in front of all of you. Sam, you got a copy, so that was some pretty good news to share there of some things being settled. Yeah, long time coming, I would assume. Nate, do you have any report?
No, not at this time, probably next time I'll have a board report on that. Other than that, you know, just, everybody just practice safely.
Yeah.
Be safe out there.
Yeah. Scott?
I said something to Bobby about it, that had a couple of requests for a speed limit sign on Spence Lane. Don't know that it would help at all, but, this lady called and asked, there's a lot of children running up and down the street on their bikes and whatnot, and it's a dead-end street, so, I guess we'll have to put that in form of a motion, I guess, to, and I figure out like 25 or so.
So everybody understands what happened was, I got a call, do what? Yeah, I got a call, was it last week, Scott? Was that when she called me?
Yes.
So I got a call last week asking about this, and I told the lady, and if I'm not supposed to do this, y'all need to tell me, but I gave that lady your number. Because I told the lady, I said, that's actually in Scott Poston's district, and I said, the way we go about putting out signs is the magistrate in that district has to recommend that if he feels it's necessary. I said, that's not my position to take.
We're the speed limit. I mean, being a dead end street, very.
A residential neighborhood's gonna be 25 automatically, unmarked. We got people on both sides too there, so it's 25. But honestly, 25 is pretty fast for a dead end street, so whatever. If you don't like it below that, you know, 20, maybe, much below that.
It's gonna be harder.
Yeah.
But just so all of y'all know, when I get calls like that, I'm gonna send those people y'all's phone numbers, and whatever y'all's recommendation is along those lines, I'm gonna support you, whatever you decide to do with it, because that's the district y'all represent. That's why I told her she needs to call you.
Yeah, and talked with a gentleman who lives there, close to the front. There's the entrance to that street, and he's fine with putting a sign in his yard, so.
So what would you recommend to speak of?
I'd say 25 is what I would.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion, just try to keep it as uniform as if he's decided, I would stay in the district court, so I would recommend, I think 25 is fine.
So you wanna put it in form of a motion to put a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on Spence Lane?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I need a second to the magistrate. Second by Nate. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. You have anything else, Scott?
No, sir.
Myron, you have anything?
About signage, I've talked to Bobby just a little bit about the ongoing problem, and it's on steroids now, Cumber Road. Bobby has some suggestions about, signage. I wouldn't mind if you want to elaborate on that.
You're welcome to the microphone, sir. Y'all notice if you're watching us, I forgot to tell y'all again, we're on Facebook Live again, and I think it's a pretty good service to the community that we get that. So you notice these people walking in these doorways, it's because we're trying to social distance, and we're making them hide in the hallway until we need them.
Two places y'all addressed last meeting, Coomer Road, actually guys that worked there for a day or so, and they had several contacts with people on the road as far as farmers and through there. They're same thing that Myron's already mentioned. The parking on the road, the litter, getting in their fields. One of them mentioned running over the cans that will burst and spray on their equipment, that type of thing. We witnessed it while we were out there, or my guys did. I wasn't out there but an hour or two when they were working. But my suggestion to it is, if you want to go through with it, is to post some signs, and we will have to probably put them 10 foot in the air to keep them from being painted on. And even then, they're gonna be destroyed because we battle that every day almost. But my suggestion would be, if you wanna post that, for violation, there'd be no littering, parking, or painting the road surface. But if you do that, I would suggest you put some type of fine to it and stick to it. Because if you don't, we're just gonna waste, we'll have to put at least 4 signs on that section of road, and those signs large enough for that probably cost close to $100 a piece, plus putting the posts and everything up in the time. So if you want to post something, I'll be glad to do it, if you're gonna back it some way to put a little bite to it.
I might just, let me interrupt. This is me trying, I'm all for I'm against littering. God knows someone dumped a whole bunch of stuff. I live on 31 Douglas, and my ditch always gets people throwing their stuff out. And anyway, I'm against littering, and I'm also free for keeping the roads clear. But, you know, spray painting stuff. But if you're gonna do this, for it to be effective, sheriff and his deputies are gonna have to patrol it regularly, and they got other things to do besides camp out on the road to make sure this gets enforced. There's only so many deputies he's got, and they're gonna, as I said, the issue is, I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying you're gonna have to push it, because they're gonna come, you know, he's gonna have to post deputies out there, and they're gonna cite them, and they're gonna come to court, and, you know, I don't mind popping people for littering, that's one of the things I love, that's easy. But, you know, well, gee whiz, people been spray painting out there since grandpa's time, you know, just be prepared, you might have some pushback, and if y'all want, I'm with him, you know, if you're gonna do it, you need to stick to it.
Sam, you and I are both, we see all the gray, we're both getting toward that older age, and it was going on long before we were young.
Long before my older siblings, some of which are 10 and 12 years old, was going on during their time before that. So I'm just saying, I'm not in favor of spray painting the road, I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's been going on for decades, not generations. And I'm more worried, honestly, because you're going to pave the road every so often. I'm more worried about the littering and the parking issues. But if you're going to do it, my recommendation is you're going to have to make sure it's enforced.
Well, I've got some friends farm out there on that road. One thing that's been left out, there was a little girl almost got run over on that road the other day. The kids are sitting in the road, the parents are letting them sit in the road, cars are coming out through there, and he said he had to almost lock his truck up over this little girl. So we might take some backlash to this. I've been thinking about it. I don't know what it would cost, but what would it cost to go in there and put, you know, the cedar like I put on the driveway and just cover all that up every little bit to it, and then put the signs up and keep people, you know, if you cover it up, it's a problem. You know, the one of my friends said he picked up 19 cans of spray paint, empty spray paint cans out of the edge of this field. And they're sitting out there every day to try to keep people from driving down the crops. And that's how they make their living.
They're migrating now on Andrews Road,
Yeah.
you know, Calder Road, and State Highway Springfield Road. So, I get it. But, as far as patrolling, I mean, it's just like patrolling the speed limit. I mean, you're right, Jerry Days he doesn't have time for this stuff. But if he is out there,
Bust them. That's what I'm saying.
the thing about it is that it's more than just artwork. There's a lot of vulgar stuff, and frankly, the residents are tired of it. It is since the pandemic, it's exploded. There's a lot of people from Tennessee coming in there and doing this, but
I'm for enforcing it. I'm just saying, if we're gonna do it, let's do it, and I'm in for, you know, I'm not, obviously the sheriff's got, you know, he knows his, the need and, you know, scheduling and so forth and priorities of his department better than any of us do, and unfortunately, that's so far out, the city police can't help pick up the slack, and so it falls on the sheriff's office. And I'm all for, I'm not against any of this, I'm just saying, if you're gonna do it, it needs to be enforced, and I enforce it, if it gets cited.
What about, Myron, this obviously is in your district, and we can talk about this all morning long. Why don't you just talk with Bobby and the sheriff, and then you draft a proposal on what you think should be done and bring it and let all the courts see it? So I mean, we could be here the rest of the morning, talking what we could or couldn't do, and how we should or shouldn't do it.
It's been kind of like on the end of Coomer Road where there's no residents. But now since that canvas is full, they're just might be, and it's now getting up closer to houses and whatnot, and they're concerned.
It needs whittling back.
As I had one guy here said, "You just created a new campus."
Bobby.
If you dealt with that, I have two other issues that deal with signage, if you want me to talk about them now, or wait a minute.
Judge, briefly say something.
Yeah. You need to, let's get to the microphone. Bobby. Okay.
Just because I don't want people to think, no, the sheriff's office, and I know y'all weren't saying this, but I don't want people to think, no, the sheriff's office has not been going. We're doing about 10 patrols through there a day right now. So, yeah, we're spending, if you want to get down to money, $150 a day, $200 a day, by the time you pay manpower, vehicles, and stuff through there. So, we're going through there on a regular basis. As I told y'all a few weeks ago, we've probably ran off 100 people from out there when we come through. We're not going to be there 24/7. Is it possible somebody can go out there and paint and get away with it? Yeah. Is it possible somebody can throw something out their window? Yeah. We will enforce dumping. If we see you throwing something out your window, we're already going to write you a ticket. I think signs would help, but we're not ignorant as far as law enforcement goes. We use discretion. Sometimes you can't prove it. There may be 3 cans laying in the ditch and there's 2 kids sitting on a car. Are we going to write them a $500 ticket? No, because unless one of them goes, yeah, I just threw that in there, even when you go to court, you have no proof that it was them that littered. It could have been there from 10 minutes ago. Late in afternoons, evenings, we're riding through there. If there's people out accumulating that are out there drinking and that type of stuff. But realize in Simpson County, what we're talking about, that's troublesome to the farmers, but right now you've got a major scourge on methamphetamine, heroin. You've got just as many people out running around doing that type stuff. That's what we're actually trying to stop. So it's not laughable to the farmers. I understand their plea. It's the same thing as the Sadler Ford that y'all are going to talk about. But if the worst you're doing is riding around on a pretty day and stopping out there talking, we'll run you off, and if there's signs out there, we'll look at it a little more serious. We might start calling some parents and this and that. But if that's the worst your kid did as a senior in high school, was get in his car and drive out there and they're hanging out, not even drinking, then you got some pretty good kids. I'll tell you that. Because you don't know how many kids, Sam knows, how many kids are on meth, serious drugs, breaking in places. That's your serious concern. The signs are good. We'll continue to do patrols out that way and running people off. And if we see people littering and the other things, we'll take that. So, but the signs are a help, and I agree with Bobby. They may be vandalized as well. But I don't want anybody to think the sheriff's office doesn't care. I care about the farmer, but it's a mix and match. I'm not saying it's okay to go out there. We'll run you off. But unless y'all want to say, we're giving you $15,000 to use for a special detail, meaning telling guys to come out off shift and sit out there undercover waiting for somebody to pull up and then go, hey, we got you. You pulled up. So I'm being a little ridiculous there, but honestly, sometimes you got to step back and go, well, really, that's what we're talking about. So About 10, sometimes even 15 times a day, we're coming through Coomer Road right now, so.
Thank you,
And I do appreciate, Jerry D., what you guys have been doing. I know you've had presence out there.
Myron, did you have other things? Is that?
No, just please support the local merchants.
All right. Sam, I'm gonna let Bobby finish up, and I'll get back to you on your report. I'm not overlooking you, but Bobby was up talking, so we'll just get him to finish up on his department report.
The only thing two things I was gonna mention, Jerry D mentioned that one, he and I talked last week about Sadler Ford. I gave Mason yesterday the name of a property owner out there that seemed maybe receptive to a parking area. I don't know that.
And I haven't been able to reach him yet.
Just for a solution, the only other thing you could come up with is if you wanted us to post signs on which would be I guess you could say the north
The Warren County
west side of the road, you could post signage saying no parking on that side of the road, trying to force all the parking on one side, which would at least give you a little bit of a ditch line for equipment or something traveling. That's the only option I had on that one.
And I'm gonna try again to reach that individual
And
today.
that may work or not. While we're discussing that, I gave you all a handout about some signage, just some information that you can have just to look at when you have time. Nothing really important to talk about, just information for you. But Nicole printed off our appropriation report for road signs last year. And we were budgeted $10,000 in that line item. And probably by the 1st of July, we'll spend close to $13,000 on those signs. And my guess, without breaking it down too much, probably at least 9,000 of that 13 is because of vandalism. So I know I don't know what you do about it. It's just one of those things that happens, but it's like everything else, it's gotten worse. But it's gone from knocking name signs off to actually pulling stop signs up and stealing sign posts and all. So for us to replace a stop sign, a post, and a name sign is close to $120 just for material. So I'm not saying there's an answer. We tried. There's anti-theft bolts, nuts. We've tried multiple things. We've even gone now. We're starting to fabricate our own brackets. So that's just FYI for you. I don't know what you do about it, but it is a financial
I called Bobby the other day.
problem for us.
The sign was gone at the end of Salem Road by Gold City. He said they didn't find the sign, but they found the signpost down Salem Road.
Yeah.
So people it's they don't realize how much expense is to that.
Yeah.
Souvenirs.
Counselor, you have anything?
Just hadn't done this in a while, so I'm gonna say it, the deadline for paying your taxes has been extended from the 15th of April to last Friday, the 15th of May. They are now officially delinquent, be paid, so don't be going to see the sheriff, you gotta go over to the clerk's office and please pay, because there will be a tax sale this August, and pandemic or no, that's what's gonna happen, and don't be surprised if some third party, beneficiary, they don't care about pandemics either, so please pay now, if you haven't already, for your 2019 property taxes. It's gonna be more expensive to save money from being sold at a tax sale. One other thing I wanna give a shout out to the sheriff, in particular the ladies who work down there. Last I heard, it may be a little bit different, I was there briefly Friday, the collection rate was like 98.65%, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the gold standard. And so it might be a little bit better because that was before the cutoff. And I just want to compliment the sheriff and his staff for an outstanding collection of property taxes.
Thanks for record, sir. We haven't wasted time.
Right. Still,
I mean, we're still good before
before the pandemic, yes.
Sheriff,
citizens deserve the ones that got out.
Sheriff, you have anything else to share? Do you mind to check the hallway and see if there's any other department or department head that has a report or anything to share? All right, then, gentlemen, I do need to have a brief executive session. You got some paper clipped together that we'll need to bring back there. in that, but we do need to have a motion and a second to enter into executive session according to KRS 61.810. That would be deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property or discussion of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency.
Motion made.
Got a motion by Nate, second by Myron. All in favor, aye.
Right.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll slide to the back.